Most people come to me with one request: how do I stop panic attacks? And I always begin with this: panic is not your core problem. A panic attack is a scare. It's a moment when your nervous system activates intensely. Your heart races, your breathing shifts, your body mobilizes, and then you become afraid of that reaction. So the sequence looks like this: first, anxiety, then autonomic activation, then fear of the activation itself. A panic attack is fear of your own physiology. But the real question is, why does your nervous system activate so easily in the first place? That's where the deeper work begins. Anxiety is interpretation. Not everyone reacts the same way to the same event. One person sees challenge, another sees discomfort, another sees catastrophe. The difference isn't the situation, it's interpretation. Neurosis is not a broken brain. It's a pattern of reacting. Some people, since childhood, have been more sensitive to rejection, criticism, loss of control, uncertainty, emotional abandonment. Over time, they develop a perception style where the world feels more dangerous than it objectively is. And then ordinary life events begin to generate disproportionate anxiety. The issue isn't reality itself, it's how the personality processes reality. In my work, I see two common patterns. One, the accumulation pattern. A person has always been emotionally sensitive and reactive. They functioned, they coped, they adapted, but stress accumulated, responsibility, relationship tension, exhaustion, life transitions. Eventually, the nervous system reached its threshold, and panic appeared. Two, the reactive pattern. A person lived relatively stable and suddenly experienced a strong physical symptom: heart racing, dizziness, shortness of breath. They interpreted it as danger. Fear amplified the body amplified fear. A cycle formed. In this second case, the personality may not be globally anxious, but there is a specific vulnerability zone. Many people search for a purely physical explanation. They think, it's my heart, it's my blood pressure, it's my nervous system disorder. But in many cases, the body is responding to chronic threat perception. If someone is deeply afraid of loss, judgment, failure, being alone, their nervous system will repeatedly activate. The body is not malfunctioning. It is reacting to perceived danger. The more someone fears the symptoms, the more those symptoms are reinforced. And over time, anxiety becomes self-sustaining. An anxiety disorder is not primarily about eliminating symptoms. It's about understanding. What does your personality overreact to? Which situations do you interpret as catastrophic? Where do you exaggerate risk? Where do you refuse uncertainty? Neurosis is not a life sentence. It's a reaction style. And styles can change, not by fighting your body, but by working with interpretation, internal meaning, and emotional structure. Panic is not the enemy. It's a signal. And instead of attacking the signal, we need to understand what keeps triggering it. One of the biggest shifts happens when you stop asking, how do I get rid of anxiety? And start asking, what is my anxiety trying to protect? Anxiety is rarely random. It protects something that feels essential to your identity. For one person, it protects the image of being competent. For another, the image of being loved. For someone else, the image of being safe. If you believe, if I fail, I lose my value. If I'm rejected, I disappear. If I lose control, everything collapses. Then anxiety becomes your bodyguard, not against danger, but against psychological collapse. The problem is not that you feel fear. The problem is that certain outcomes feel psychologically unacceptable. So your nervous system stays on alert, trying to prevent what you believe you cannot survive. But here is the paradox. The more you try to eliminate uncertainty, the more fragile you become. The more you try to avoid fear, the more fear defines your life. Anxiety intensifies where flexibility disappears. The real work, expanding tolerance. If panic is a signal and anxiety is an interpretation, then the work is not suppression. The work is expansion. Expansion of tolerance, expansion of perspective, expansion of identity. Most anxious individuals are not weak. They are rigid. They have narrow definitions of safety, narrow definitions of success, narrow definitions of who they are allowed to be. And when life doesn't match that narrow structure, the system reacts. Real recovery begins when you allow imperfection, allow uncertainty, allow loss as a possibility, allow yourself to exist without guarantees. This doesn't mean you become careless. It means you become psychologically elastic. The nervous system calms down not when life becomes safe, but when you become adaptable. Anxiety decreases when your identity becomes larger than one outcome. When your value is not attached to one relationship, not attached to one role, not attached to one performance. That is the deeper transformation. Not symptom removal, but structural growth. And when structure changes, symptoms often follow. If this perspective resonates with you, join the channel. Here, I talk about anxiety on a deeper level than just calm down. I explore identity, emotional dependence, inner supports, and psychological maturity. I share not only theory, but my personal experience of living with anxiety and the tools that helped me and many others rebuild inner structure. If you want to understand your anxiety instead of fighting it, subscribe. And if this video was helpful, leave a like. It helps my channel grow and reach more people who need this conversation. See you in the next video.